Will you clap for me? Will you hand me that coffee?
Where you want to put the mic?
It's right here.
Okay, word. I want to start this episode giving a special thanks to Emma Helene and Megan Rock for making episode 1 possible. They helped creating the logo, thumbnails, editing, and I mean, the video turned out great, so I hope y'all enjoyed it. But today, we are going to talk about a few topics. One, a couple of the playoff series going on right now, tied up 2-2. When fans go too far, because that's relevant as hell today. Dylan Brooks and Draymond Green ejection. And last but not least, of course, Nikola Jokic winning MVP. And we might bring a couple people on and get their thoughts on that as well.
Okay, so we got 2 series going on that are tied 2-2. What are your predictions? I think they're playing Tuesday?
Yep, that'll be tomorrow, Tuesday.
So we're talking about Philadelphia 76ers versus Miami Heat, and then Phoenix Suns versus the Dallas Mavericks. And what are your predictions going forward with how those series are going to turn out?
I think I'll start with the one that I got a little bit less to say about and move into the other one. So Phoenix versus Dallas. A lot of people wrote Dallas off when they went down 2-0, but I think people just didn't really realize how great of a player Luka Jokic is. And the only thing that the Mavs were missing in those first 2 games were, honestly, anyone else showing up but Luka. And in the last 2 games, they showed us they could do that. With Dorian Finney-Smith stepping up in Game 4, and Game 3, Jalen Brunson stepping up big. All the other guys are playing their roles. And, I mean, overall, this is looking like a more even match than people think. I think this series is going to go to 7. And who comes out with it? I'm going to have to go with Dallas Mavericks. The Chris Paul curse. He's down 2-0. We all know what happens. History repeats itself.
Wow.
So,
Who would have thought that, though, at the beginning of the series?
Yeah.
A lot of people say Suns in 6.
Including somebody very notorious will drop his tweet right here. Skip Bayless saying Suns in 6. I'd take that bet because I got Mavs in 7. Yeah, I just think Dallas is figuring something out, and I think Chris Paul hasn't been playing his best basketball in this series.
Yeah.
Neither has DeAndre Ayton, but a couple other guys on that team, I mean, they're a deep team, have been incredible. Like Devin Booker, Jay Crowder getting it done, Mikal Bridges, solid. I mean, from top down, they are a better team, but
Better teams don't always win.
better teams don't always win. We've seen it before, like the Memphis Grizzlies and the Timberwolves. All right, that may have been a little bit biased. What do you think? Who do you have winning that series?
I've always had it being the Suns. I think some of it, I mean, I was actually going to ask you this. How important do you think that home advantage is to this series?
Home court advantage is huge in this series because, I mean, every single game that has been won has been won by the home team so far in this series. And on top of Game 4, I will give the Suns this. Chris Paul did foul out, and I actually I think I understand why. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Yep. But, yeah, I think home court series is huge. And I think if Dallas is able to take 5, I don't even think the series goes to 7. I don't expect them to, but I think it's going to be a hard-fought battle in Phoenix in Game 7, and I see Dallas coming out on the other end.
I think it's really going to come down to Game 5 because, in my opinion, I think home court advantage is going to be huge here. I think if Dallas can take it in the 5th, like you said, then they're in really good shape to come home and win it in 6 at home.
Yep.
But I think if the Suns, who I think is more likely to win 5, home court, they're a force to be reckoned with. Chris Paul had a bad game the other day. He's going to come out really clean, really fired up. I think they're going to take in the 5th game, the Suns. And if that's the case, even if they lose Game 6, they're going to go home and win Game 7.
No, I'd say I agree with you 100%. It's going to be a hell of a battle. It's going to come down to who can fight harder when their back's against the wall, especially that team that does drop 5, because somebody's got to lose 5, and that means their back is against the wall. So how are they going to step up?
Yep.
I mean, we've seen it with the Wolves, so close to winning that Game 5, and they just couldn't get it done, unfortunately. And in Game 6, I mean, maybe that deflated them. Maybe we weren't ready Yeah, we fought our asses off, but on home court, you're supposed to win when your back's against the wall. I love y'all Wolves, and I'll see y'all next season. But
okay, moving on.
I love the Wolves.
The team still in the playoffs. Rest in peace. We've got the Miami Heat versus the Philadelphia 76ers.
I got a few opinions on that.
It's like when multiple letters are used at the same time. So like alligators, apples are amazing. Even though they're all A's. So Philly's finest would be like F and F, but Philly's no PH.
So it's not.
Without further ado, the second of the 2-2 series.
Yeah, what are your thoughts? Tell me, who's going to take it? Jimmy Butler in the Heat?
No.
Joel Embiid in the Sixers?
I'm 100% sold on Philly winning this series. I'll give it in 7 again, just because I think Miami does have some fight in them. But with Joel Embiid coming back on the court these last 2 games, I mean, we clearly see. I just don't think Miami's got it in them. I think Philly's the better team. And they showed that in the last 2 games. Miami got away with 2 without him on the court. One being by a pretty small margin, if I remember correctly. And, yeah, I mean, I take Philly. I think Miami's a hell of a team. They got veteran presence everywhere. But Joel Embiid is just a different monster, and James Harden is just now starting to cook. I mean, last night he had a great game. I'm taking Philly in 7.
Yeah, and I think we forget how quickly James Harden has gelled with the Sixers, and I think that's been pretty spectacular to see going into the playoffs. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is the NBA and the league's relationship and the players' relationship with fans. Of course, like, they feed off of each other, players and fans, and we love each other, and it's mutual. We all love the game. But what happens when fans cross the line or when players get mad at fans? And we're going to start off talking with the Chris Paul incident that happened the other game, his last game. And we're going to look at a clip right now where he...
clip live.
I'll see you later. He's pissed. And that's the boy and his mom.
Child and his mother.
I mean, that's some 16-year-old, even like I say 14, 15, just like not grown, not developed.
Shout out to Chris Paul, though. He went straight to bat for his family.
He did. He said, I'll see, what did he say?
He said, I'll see you later. I'm going to see you later.
I don't care how old you are. You come after the woman in my family, I'll see you later. That's what Chris Paul said.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, when you're at the game, from what we're hearing in the altercations, this was not shown in the clip, which is very interesting because a lot of people believe there's evidence that isn't out there. But allegedly, this young fan pushed and chirped at Chris Paul's family.
His mother, Robin, and his wife, Jed. It seems like he touched his mother. According to the report, he touched his mother, Robin, and pushed his wife, Jada, in front of their 2 children. And that is what brought him to yell at this fan and for them, the mother and the kid, to be escorted outside.
I think from a standpoint of just the situation in general, it should have never happened. Fans gotta chill out. Like, we get it. You can chirp, you can talk all your stuff, but these aren't zoo animals. I mean, these are people. And especially when you're messing with their family, like, come on. How many people watching this video will whoop somebody's ass for their family? Let's be real. I mean, I would. Would you?
Probably not effectively, but I'd give it a go.
She more strategic. See, she would plan out your demise.
You wouldn't know it was coming.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think about Chris Paul's reaction? Do you think that was just, or?
I mean, I didn't see what happened, but I get it. I think I would be pissed if somebody came at my family in a game, especially like this is a Mavericks fan, so you can quickly be like, okay, he's trying to razz up Chris Paul and make him play a bad game, and I would be pissed. I would be furious if anybody came at my family when I was doing my job, going to work, and so I think Chris Paul is justified, and for the people who. There's some people now saying maybe Chris Paul, like, it was nothing, that it was an overreaction, that they just brushed past them, and it's crowded, it's bumpy, and then, Jada and Robin made a stink about it. I mean, if that's what you think, you're basically calling them psychos. So just keep that in mind. You know, like, that is ridiculous. Imagine that. Imagine watching your husband, your son play
and you cause a whole scene,
and you go, someone pushed me, and no one pushed you. Why would you do that?
And how long has Chris Paul been in the league? You know, his family's probably been to millions of
They
years.
understand fans. They understand razzing. They understand the game. They understand a bad game, a good game. They get it. So I just think that's so unlikely and so unfair to Robin and Jada.
Yeah.
I
mean, for instance, Chris Paul actually, he had a tweet. We'll drop that in below, but he says, yeah, if you would like to quote it.
I want to fine players for saying stuff to fans, but the fans can put the hands on our families. F that.
And that's 100% facts. I mean, you've seen players like flip a fan off. Draymond Green, was it? Flipped a fan off and got fined $25,000.
But it's even worse than that. Draymond Green in the Memphis Grizzlies game, like, landed hard on his back, and the fans started cheering. So hell yeah, when he got up, he flipped him off.
Yeah,
that's rude. You never want to wish a player's injury.
Kyrie had a similar thing happen in the Boston series. When he flipped a fan off, he got caught up. But I mean, it's just the punishments have to be equal. Like, if they cross the line, I do think there should be a ban, some sort. Something should happen to just get fans to not act that rowdy. Like, we get it. I'm rowdy at a game. I'm probably cussing out slurs left.
Remember the Miami Heat game with Jimmy Butler when he came, and there's all that beef with the Minnesota Timberwolves and Jimmy Butler, and we were all screaming. I mean, not polite stuff, but there's a line.
Well, yeah, obviously it's a line. It's just respect, and you know, I'm sure every NBA player can take a little bit of trash talk. Like, that's all they hear, but messing with somebody's family, that's a no. Any racial slur or insult, that's a no. Anything physical, obviously, that's a no. Throwing anything, that's a no. And it's just things like that I think we need a list of rules or regulations for fans and the consequences that come along with those rules and regulations. Then fans know, they know. Yeah. Like, if you do this, you will be banned from these games for 5-10 years on some Will Smith.
But really, is the NBA going? Yeah, is the NBA really going to do that though? Are they really going to cut off a potential customer? I doubt it.
Well, they have banned some fans for life.
Really? The chicken protesters?
I don't know. I've got to look deeper into those.
Doesn't matter.
That's a story for another video.
All right. So yeah, that's the story on that. I don't think there's much more to say. I think it's interesting that it happened earlier in the game, and then, you know, Chris Paul fouled out at the top of the fourth. I don't think that's necessarily a coincidence. I'd
like to capitalize on that. I think that Chris Paul when you're in the playoffs, you're playing with so many emotions already. So after that event went down, I mean, we're talking about a guy who's been in the league for 10 plus years. He had more fouls than points for the first time in his career. 6 fouls and 5 points, fouled out the game. That very much affected him. And I believe that's probably why Chris Paul fouled out that night. I think he was playing with even more heightened emotions than the playoffs already bring. And, you know, I mean, who can blame him? But what's said is done, and they got to get ready for Game 5 now. So
yeah, I think Chris Paul said as much. Just time to get to work. Dillon Brooks ejected from...
Dillon Brooks.
Dillon.
Super Zoom.
It's spelled Dillon. Why would you spell your name like that? Dillon.
Dillon, like a million?
Like, it's because it's Dillion, right? Dillon? I just call him Brooks. Or Brokemon.
We call him Dillon Brokemon, but...
Dillon.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, in topic number 3, we got the Dillon Brooks flagrant 2 versus the Draymond Green flagrant 2, and kind of just explain what flagrants are and what that entails for the rest of the playoffs for these two guys. But we got the clips. We're going to watch the clips first, and then we'll compare them.
Here, all flavor fouls.
Catch him in the face, drags him down by the jersey.
That's dirty. Look at him. He's loving it.
Dang, prime Draymond Green.
He said, yeah, I fucked him up.
They haven't announced it yet.
All right, without further ado, let's see the next one.
Skips into locker room.
Draymond Green is prime entertainment. I will give Draymond that.
He's good for the NBA.
All right, let's see this Dylan Brooks ejection. This is in game 2.
Golden State still looking to crack the seal. Peyton right down the middle. He's fouled.
Ah!
Oh, that's clear. Holy shit. Oh! Yeah, both are pretty obvious. I will say, like, they're definitely flagrant fouls. That's clear.
Yeah, well, the difference between Draymond's and Dylan Brooks, Dylan Brooks, I think he was making a very aggressive play on the ball.
Maybe a bit of a stupid one.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like he said in his apology, he said every play matters, and he apologized for the incident already. It was just his resulted in something worse, because from what I heard, Gary Payton III, he went to the hospital after that, and he's still out until further notice. There's nothing reported on that. So I see why he got ejected and suspended. And Draymond's was more intentional, but it was less dire and the consequences weren't as crazy.
Yeah.
Like, nobody got hurt, nobody got sent to the hospital. So, you know, Draymond Green got ejected and he's got a flagrant 2. Yeah. And I think that's kind of where those two measure up. I think they're both flagrant 2s, like you said. And the interesting thing is where that puts them for the future of the playoffs for both teams. Because now Draymond Green has built up 2 flagrant points. Every time you get a flagrant, you build up points. A flagrant 2 builds up 2 flagrant points. And once they get over 3 flagrant points, they get suspended for a game. So Draymond Green will have to be a little bit less aggressive now, because if he picks up another flagrant 1 or 2, he will be suspended for a game. And these points don't reset. So if Dylan Brooks gets another flagrant, he could be ejected or suspended for another game. And I mean, for these teams at this time of the year, that's just tough, because that's going to follow them. Whichever team wins this series, it'll follow them into the next round. Yeah. And those are the... I mean, that's just really going to affect their teams. Those are 2 big players for those guys, 2 of the hype men. So our final topic of the day is one that no one can skip over if they report about sports. It's Nikola Jokic winning the MVP award back-to-back. And was it deserved? Was it well-deserved?
And we actually are going to have a couple of people on here to argue why Joel Embiid and Giannis should have won MVP.
Giannis is biggest fan in the world, and one of my good friends, Ben Evanstad, we're going to get him on the screen, and he is going to fanboy over Giannis and tell you why it should have been Giannis.
All right, so I've been asked to give my reason on why I believe Giannis should have won MVP over Jokic. Now, if one of the 2 centers in the race that I wanted to win was Embiid over Jokic, but clearly I would want Giannis to win over any 3 of them. But if you're going to look at MVP, I feel like team wins matter, and the Bucks were 51-31, while Nuggets were 48-34, and the Bucks also had a higher seeding, like 3rd or something, and the Nuggets were like 6th. So I feel like that should play a factor in MVP, because clearly the most valuable player is going to help win his team, or help his team get more wins, which Giannis clearly did. And both of them 33 minutes per game, about, so whatever for that. But Giannis did have more points, which, in my opinion, leads to more wins, and more points, better scorer. Giannis had about 1.4 steals and about 1 block a game average, while Jokic was about 1 steal and about 0.8 blocks. So clearly Giannis is helping more on the defensive end per game. And, Giannis had about 5.8 assists with Jokic about 7.9. We'll say whatever you want to say. Giannis still can, get the ball to whoever he wants on a 3-point line. And about 11 rebounds for Giannis, 13 for Jokic. Giannis is still better. And then field goal percentage, you might think, Jokic is going to be the better field goal percentage, give it to him more. But Giannis had 55% field goal percentage to Jokic's 58. And Giannis was shooting 29 from 3-point range, while Jokic was shooting 33. So realistically, they were shooting about the same from 3. Jokic might be putting up more threes, but they're still shooting about the same during the 3-point line. Edit that out. But, insert a couple clips. Giannis clearly is more dominant. Put some clips of him dunking. You're going to show some clips of Jokic. He's going to be throwing it down the court. So, and one more point I want to point out before I end this is this pick of Giannis. And there's no pick of that of Jokic, just saying. So that just proves that Giannis is a better player over Jokic. And that's why he should have been the 2022 MVP.
We got these guys' stats here. And, Nikola Jokic finished the season with 27.1 points per game, 13.8 rebounds per game, and 7.9 assists in 74 games played, with his team going 48-34. Joel Embiid, playing 68 games, averaged 30.6 points per game, 11.7 rebounds per game, and 4.2 assists, finishing with a record of 51-31 for the 76ers. Last but not least, Giannis Antetokounmpo, playing 67 games, averaged 29.9 points per game, 11.6 rebounds per game, and 5.8 assists, also finishing with a record of 51-31 with the Milwaukee Bucks. Do we think Jokic deserved MVP?
I don't know. Do you?
Do you? I think the reason Jokic got MVP and the criteria that went under was simply because the personnel on the Nuggets was not as good as the personnel in Philadelphia or Milwaukee. So basically they're saying the rest of Jokic's team was not very good at basketball, which I think is a stretch. And they're saying that he carried that team to that record.
Yeah. But I think that's a bit unfair, seeing that a lot of NBA teams have their struggles throughout the season, like the 76ers with Joel Embiid had to bring in James Harden. They had a bunch of changes going up into the playoffs.
Yep. There was the whole thing with Ben Simmons that I'm sure everyone followed for the majority of last season and the season before that. Was he going to play? Was he not going to play? All that drama, and Joel Embiid was carrying his team throughout that. And then the personnel changes when the trade did happen, bringing James Harden in, getting him to gel. And Joel Embiid his game not even changing. It just improved for the better when they brought him in. So I think Joel Embiid honestly had to face more challenges than Jokic, and I do believe he was snubbed.
A stronger reason that he got MVP could be he has more rebounds, he has more assists. He's a couple
He has the stats for it.
His rebounds and assists, I think, make up for that, and I think that is a stronger reason why he got MVP. Anyone saying it's because it was so hard to be a Nugget. Yeah, okay. It's hard to be in any NBA team.
Yeah, Joel Embiid did get the scoring title too this year, which is a big thing that would give him the edge. I really think it was the personnel on their teams in which that's how that was decided. And Giannis is the best player in the world right now. I'm sorry, I have to say it. And he could have easily won this award. He just didn't. They just went with somebody that wasn't Giannis this year, and that's that on that anyways.
That's NBA politics right there.
I believe so. If anybody disagrees, I'd love to hear it, but I believe Giannis is the best player in the world at current. So to fact check me on that. But anyways, thank you everybody for tuning in today, and thank you to our guest stars, and thank you Ben for coming on and giving us your opinion on Giannis. Big fan. We see that. And thank you Emma for coming on to the show. And it's saying Dillian broke him on.
Dillian like that. I don't think I can unsay it.
His name's just Dillian now. It's cool. We're cool with that. But yeah, thank y'all for tuning into this episode, and we'll see y'all next time.
Binkie.